The sound of your footsteps echoed through the quiet street while your vision blurred by tears you refused to let fall completely. Each step felt heavier than the last as you tried to distance yourself from Jungkook who was running behind you. Wine, please, just stop and listen to me. He called your name but you didn't stop, didn't turn around as you were highly disappointed and angry. He finally caught you and grabbed your wrist but you jerked off his hand harshly. Don't try to stop me. Wine, please listen to me. I know you are angry but you can't live like this. His eyes were filled with tears and fear that he was trying to control. Listen to what, Jungkook? More excuses? More lies? Do you even realize how broken I feel right now? Jungkook stopped in his tracks. His chest was rising and falling as he tried to catch his breath. I wasn't lying. You weren't lying? Then what was all of this? Running off whenever she calls, spending more time with her than me. You keep saying you'll explain, but you never do. Do you have any idea how that feels to be treated like I'm second to someone else? He opened his mouth to respond, but you shook your head, cutting him off. I don't think you want me, Jungkook. So go. Live with her. Be with her. Clearly, she's more important to you than I am. Fine, please try to understand me. Nothing is more important than you to me. I swear I didn't want to hurt you, but you did. You hurt me, Jungkook. You made me feel like I'm not enough for you, like I don't matter. And now I don't even know if I can trust you. It's either me or her, Jungkook. I never thought I would have to say this, but I can't do this anymore. He shook his head, coming near you, his eyes filled with the thought of losing you. Trust me, Ryan. I love you and no one can take your place. Give me a reason to make myself clear. Just one chance to show you everything, please. You shook your head while tears spilling over as you tried to pull your wrist free. I can't do this anymore. Let me go. But he didn't. Instead, he pulled you closer and in one swift motion opened the car door. I'm not letting you walk away without knowing the truth. Jungkook, stop. You protested, but he guided you into the passenger seat. Ryan, I'm begging you to let me explain. If after this you still want to leave, I won't stop you, but I need you to trust me just this once. His words left you speechless, and before you could say another word, he closed the door, running around to the driver's side. The engine rolled to life as he sped off, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. Where are you taking me? You asked, your voice was trembling. To the hospital, he said quietly, his eyes fixed on the road. Your heart dropped hearing the hospital's name. Why are we going there? Jungkook didn't respond immediately. His jaw clenched as if he was struggling to keep himself composed. Finally he said, because there's something you need to see. The tension in the car was suffocating, the air thick with unspoken emotions. You stared out of the window, trying to steady your breathing, but your mind raced with possibilities. Jungkook glanced at you with a corner of an eye as he noticed your expression change hearing the name, and that's why he always failed. He never wanted you to know about all this. But now he didn't have a choice. He doesn't want to lose you. As soon as you stepped inside the hospital, the sterile smell hit you like a wave, suffocating and familiar. The sight of nurses rushing through the halls, doctors discussing cases in hushed tones, and the faint beeping of monitors brought everything back, the memories you had fought so hard to bury. Your breathing grew shallow, each step feeling heavier than the last. The fluorescent lights above seemed to blur, and your chest tightened painfully. You gripped Jungkook's arm, your fingers trembled as you whispered, Jungkook, why did you bring me here? I wanna go. He held you tightly. We'll leave, but after you'll know everything. Just breathe, Ryan. Your eyes filled up with tears as the fear surrounded you. All you could see was the past replaying in your mind, the image of your brother's pale face as he lay in a hospital bed, surrounded by the same sterile walls, hooked up to countless machines. You remembered the helplessness, the sleepless nights, the sound of doctors delivering words you didn't want to hear. Tears welled in your eyes, your throat dry as if the words were stuck there. I can't breathe. You gasped, clutching at your chest. Ryan, breathe with me. In and out. Come on, just focus on me, he said, firmly holding your face. His voice was the only anchor in the storm of emotions threatening to drown you. You tried to match his breathing, but the flashes wouldn't stop. The sterile smell, the beeping monitors, the quiet sobs of your mother in the hallway. This is what Jungkook feared from the start and kept Soojin's illness hidden from you. They both knew what you have been through, and the fact that Soojin was suffering from the same illness as your brother, they didn't want to bring back those memories to you. They knew that watching your brother's slow decline left a permanent scar. You struggled with severe anxiety and depression, constantly feeling helpless as you watched someone you loved suffer while being powerless to change the outcome. The stress during your brother's final month affected your health, leading to frequent panic attacks, sleepless nights, and weight loss. It took you months of therapy and immense willpower to start functioning normally again. Even now, certain triggers like hospital visits, mentions of terminal illnesses, or seeing someone in a frail condition cause emotional flashbacks, making you relive that painful period. Jungkook was terrified that if you found out about Soojin's illness, it would reopen old wounds, pushing you back into the dark place you had worked so hard to escape. He couldn't bear the thought of seeing you suffer again, knowing how fragile your mental state had been after your brother's death. Soojin, knowing about your history, begged Jungkook not to tell you. She didn't want to be the reason you went through that kind of pain again. She felt her illness was already a burden and didn't want to add to the weight you were carrying as the head of your family and company. Jungkook believed that sparing you the pain was the best way to protect you, even if it means keeping secrets. He thought he could handle Soojin's situation alone without letting it affect your relationship. By hiding the truth, Jungkook and Soojin were trying to shield you from a pain that they knew could break you again. However, they didn't realize the emotional toll their secrecy would take on your trust and relationship. Your legs trembled as you approached the ICU. Jungkook held you closer to him, only he knew how hard it was for him to bring you here because you wouldn't have believed him with anything. You noticed Jungkook's grandma sitting on the chair, joining her hands and praying. She looked messed up, as if cried for days. You looked at Jungkook. Jungkook, what's going on? Why is she here? Why are we here? He didn't respond, guiding you closer to the glass window of the ICU. When you finally looked inside, the world seemed to tilt beneath your feet. Soojin lay on the hospital bed, pale and fragile, surrounded by machines monitoring her every breath. Tubes and wires were attached to her frail body, and she looked as though a single gust of wind could break her. Your heart dropped, a lump forming in your throat as you turned to Jungkook, panic clearly visible in your eyes. What is this? What's happening to her? Jungkook's jaw clenched, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. It's lymphoma, the same illness your brother had. The world seemed to collapse around you. Your knees buckled and your hands shot up to cover your ears as if trying to block out the words. No, why? You whispered, your voice trembled and tears started blurring your vision. Your breathing grew erratic as the memories you had buried came crashing back with unforgiving force. The sterile smell of the hospital, the sight of your brother hooked up to countless machines, the slow, painful goodbye, it all overwhelmed you at once. Not again. You choked, your voice breaking as you stumbled backward, shaking your head violently. No, why this happening? Jungkook, I can't go through this again. I can't lose someone else. First my brother and now Soojin. Why is this happening to people I know or love? You sank to the floor, your hands clutching at your chest as if trying to hold yourself together. I'm so tired of this pain. I thought I was getting better, but I'm not okay. You started crying as memories started flashing. You are still not fully recovered and suffer from mental breakdown once in a while. Jungkook dropped to his knees beside you, his arms wrapping around you tightly. Why you stop? Please just breathe. Let's go from here. He pleaded, his voice trembled with worry. You pushed at him weakly, shaking your head. No, why? Why her? Why does this keep happening? Your voice cracked, trembled with disbelief and fear. The name of the illness, the same one that had taken your brother from you, sent shock waves through your body. Your vision blurred, your breathing grew shallow, and your chest tightened painfully. You clutched at your chest. Jungkook noticed how your health started declining and panic set in. He held you. Wine, breathe. We are getting out of here. You shook your head and tried to push him while crying. No, don't leave or something will happen to her. I left my brother and never get to talk to him again, Jungkook. We need to save her. We should do something. You were losing control, your thoughts spinning in panic and fear. You spoke quickly and acted without thinking, completely overwhelmed by your emotions. Jungkook cupped your face and made you look at him. Wine. Everything will be fine. She'll be alright. Don't panic, okay? Let's go home. You need to take your medicine. You were not ready. You literally had a meltdown, but he somehow managed to get you out of the hospital. After Jungkook guided you into the house, you sank onto the couch, your hand trembling even as they clutched the glass of water he handed you. He sat beside you, his own hand steady as he helped you take your medicine, his eyes filled with guilt and worry. For a few moments, silence hung between you both, broken only by the sound of your shaky breaths. Finally, you turned to him, your voice hoarse but demanding. Since when, Jungkook? Since when has she been this sick? And why didn't you tell me? Jungkook leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. His hand hung low. He let out a long sigh before speaking. It started a few months ago. Soojin started feeling weak, losing weight rapidly. Her grandmother was worried, so they went for tests. That's when they found out the illness. It's in its final stage. You flinched at his words. Your heart started aching. And you thought hiding it from me was the right thing to do? You knew how much this would remind me of my brother. You knew I would understand what she's going through. Why, Jungkook? He turned to you, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. Because I couldn't risk it, Ryan. Not after everything you have been through. You're still healing, still fighting your own battles. I've seen how hard it's been for you to keep going after losing him. Her grandmother begged me not to tell you. She didn't want you to carry this burden too. She even knelt before me, Ryan, and begged me to save Soojin. I had no choice. You stared at him, the weight of his words crashing down on you like a tidal wave. And now? What will happen to her now? Jungkook hesitated, his jaw tightened as he tried to hold back his emotions. When I was on my way to meet you for our date, her grandmother called me. She was crying so hard, I could barely understand her. She said Soojin collapsed suddenly. The doctor said the illness had progressed too far. They rushed into surgery, but they told us the chance was slim, less than 1%. They don't think she'll survive. You felt her heart sink, tears welling in your eyes as you processed his words. 1%? Jungkook shifted closer, his hand gently cupping your trembling ones. I didn't want you to feel this pain again. I didn't want you to spiral back into the darkness. Soojin didn't want it either, but I had to be there for her. I couldn't turn my back on her, Ryan. She has no one else but her grandmother. I wasn't choosing her over you. I was just trying to do what I could. You looked at him, your tears falling freely now. But Jungkook, I'm your partner. I'm supposed to share your burdens too. Even if it hurts, I would rather know the truth than feel like you're hiding things from me. I can't go through this alone. He wrapped his arms around you, pulling you into his chest. I'm sorry, Ryan. I thought I was protecting you, but I hurt you instead. I'll never hide anything from you again. We'll face this together no matter how hard it gets. Just stay with me. Don't push me away. You clung to him tightly, letting your tears soak into his shirt. Promise me, Jungkook, promise me you'll always tell me the truth no matter how hard it is. He kissed the top of your head, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. I promise, from now on, no more secrets. Just us together. The next day felt endless. You paced around the office, your thoughts consumed by Soojin. Every time you closed your eyes, the hospital flashed in your mind, dragging you back to memories you weren't ready to relive. Jungkook had urged you to go to work, knowing that staying home would only amplify your worry. Reluctantly, you agreed, but even at work, you thought drifted to her constantly. Soojin wasn't someone you were with for a long time, but she's the one who brought you and Jungkook together. In college, she knew that you have a huge crush on Jungkook and she was familiar with Jungkook's feelings for you, so she set both of you together and erased the distance between the two of you. When your brother was suffering and then died, she and Jungkook both were with you and your parents to support you. Jungkook's support played a very big role in your recovery, and that's why he knew what could have this news done to your mental health. And he wasn't wrong. You really got disturbed mentally, but Jungkook held you once again. Later in the afternoon, as you sat at your desk, your phone rang. Seeing Jungkook's name on the screen made your heart race. You quickly picked it up. Jungkook, what's happening? Is she? His voice was calm but tinged with relief. She's stable now, Ian. The surgery worked, but the doctors say she needs advanced treatment in the US. She'll have to leave soon, maybe by the end of the week. You let out a shaky breath, tears welling in your eyes. She's okay, thank God, she's okay. You wiped at your tears, quickly trying to regain composure. Can I see her? I know I couldn't go to the hospital, but I want to see her before she leaves. She's back home now. Her grandmother said visitors are welcome, but don't push yourself too hard, okay? Only if you're ready. I'm ready, Jungkook. I want to see her. Okay, then I'm coming to pick you up. You nodded and the call ended before you let out a shaky breath that you didn't know you were holding back. Jungkook and you both came out of the car. He held your hand as you stood in front of Soojin's house. He could see the nervousness on your face. Are you sure you're ready for this? You nodded, though your chest was still heavy with nerves. I need to do this, Jungkook. She deserves to know I'm not angry, and I need to see her to let her know she is not alone. Jungkook gave you a small reassuring smile, his thumb brushing over your knuckles. I'll be right there with you. If it's too much, just say the word and we'll leave, okay? When you arrived at Soojin's house, her grandmother greeted you warmly, guiding you and Jungkook to the living room. Soojin was sitting on the couch, still pale and fragile, but with a faint smile as she saw both of you enter. Wine, Jungkook. Your chest tightened to see her. She looked so fragile, so weak that you couldn't stop feeling bad for her. Her voice was soft, but there was a weight of emotions in her tone. You approached her carefully, sitting on the chair opposite her, while Jungkook stayed close, his hand resting gently on your shoulder. Soojin, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Soojin nodded weakly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I'm better now, but I wanted to talk to you, Ryan. I owe you an apology. You blinked, surprised by her words. I found out everything about what happened between you and Jungkook, how it hurt you. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to be the reason for any misunderstanding between you two. Her voice cracked as she spoke, and Jungkook's grip on your shoulder tightened protectively. Soojin, it's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. None of this is your fault. I was just frustrated. Soojin shook her head, tears streaming down her pale face. But it is. I asked Jungkook to keep it a secret. I was scared and my grandmother begged him not to tell anyone. But if I had known how much it would affect you. You reached out, placing your hand over her gently. Soojin, please don't blame yourself. You were fighting for your life. I wasn't aware, but I understand now. It's okay, truly. Jungkook stepped forward then, his voice firm yet tender as he addressed Soojin. Soojin, my priority has always been Ryan. I hid this because I didn't want her to suffer again, but I see now that I should have handled it differently. Ryan's love and strength deserve my honesty, no matter how hard it is. His eyes softened as he looked at you, his gaze filled with nothing but love. Ryan, I've hurt you by trying to protect you in the wrong way, but I swear everything I did was because I can't bear to see you in pain. I love you more than anything, and I'll spend every day proving that to you. Your chest tightened at his words, a fresh wave of emotion washed over you. Jungkook, I know you meant well. I wish you had trusted me to handle it with you. He knelt beside your chair, taking both of your hands in his. From now on, no more secrets. We face everything together, no matter how hard it gets. Soojin's voice broke through the emotional moment. I'm so grateful to have both of you in my life, and I promise, Ryan, I'll never let myself be a source of pain for you again. You smiled softly at her, squeezing her hand. You're not a source of pain, Soojin. You are someone worth fighting for, and you'll get through this. We all are here for you. Go to US, get the best treatment, and I promise me and Jungkook will come to visit you whenever we get a chance. You're not alone. We all are with you. She finally broke into tears but managed to stay calm. You hugged her, suppressing your tears. You'll be perfectly fine. Thank you, Ryan. I can never forget your kindness. I'm blessed to have friends like you. After spending some more time with her and her grandmother and reassuring them not to worry about anything, you'll help them in every possible way, you and Jungkook came back to your house. You finally came back home and dropped yourself on the couch. These past 2 days were like a nightmare you relived once again. After your brother's death, you became mentally disturbed, and things like these easily triggered you, leaving you in meltdown. Now you understood why Jungkook didn't want to tell you anything. Are you okay? Let me make coffee for you. You held Jungkook's hand, making him stop in his track. He sat on the couch beside you, holding you close. I'm sorry. You were feeling guilty for acting without waiting for an explanation. Jungkook cupped your face gently. Why are you saying sorry? You have no fault. Your reaction was obvious. I shouldn't have hid anything. I get it why you did that, but Jungkook, I get scared sometimes. I don't want to lose you. I trust you, but sometimes my mind messes up with me. Whatever I said was just out of anger. I didn't mean any of that. I can't live without you. He hugged you tightly. I can't live without you either. You're my world, Ryan. I didn't want to burden you because I thought I was being strong for both of us, but now I see how wrong I was. You deserve to know the truth. I get it now, Jungkook. I see why you did it, but you have to promise me no more secrets. No matter how hard it is, we face it together. That's the only way this works. He broke the hug and cupped your face. I promise no more secrets, no more trying to shoulder everything on my own. From now on, I'll be honest with you no matter what. You exhaled deeply, the tension in your chest slowly easing. And I'll try to trust you more. I'll remind myself that you are doing everything out of love, even if it's not always the way I expect. A small smile tugged at his lips as he pulled you into his arms once again. You rested your head against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath you. I love you, Jungkook. I love you so much. And I love you more than words could express. I promise I will never let a situation like this come again. I will always be honest. You smiled, feeling relieved, and stayed in his arms.